former House Majority Leader and MOLIS Vice Chairman Eric Cantor. Eric, good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Maria.
What's your reaction? I know that you're a Jeb Bush guy, right? And he's recently been sort of fighting back and doing better. Is he able to break out, you think, next couple of contests?
Listen, no question, last night reset the race. New Hampshire voters, I think, demonstrated that this race is still wide open. I think all along there's been an indication that the Republican nominee will have to take on and beat Donald Trump and then go on to beat the Clinton machine and Hillary Clinton. And clearly, I see Jeb coming out of New Hampshire in a very strong position, heading into South Carolina as the one candidate who is ready to assume the office of being the commander-in-chief of our country from day one. Obviously, in South Carolina, very, very strong state in terms of national security with Lindsey Graham on board. I think that message is going to resonate really well. And Jeb's always said he's in this for the long haul, and I do think now there's a clear opening and a path to see Jeb winning the nomination.
But, Congressman, it's Dagan McDowell. Jeb has struggled to land blows on Trump, and it hasn't really helped him so far. Even as he's fought back in these debates, he always seems to stumble a little bit.
Well, Dagan, I think, clearly Jeb's been the only one to take on Donald Trump. I think the campaign, and he has always said, everyone else is sitting there in the witness protection program and hadn't said anything about the divisiveness, the anger, the fear-mongering that's coming out of Donald Trump. And at the end of the day, I think what the voters want, and clearly what our country needs, is a proven leader, somebody who can point to a track record of success, somebody who can say, I have solved problems. And Jeb Bush, in the 8 years he was governor of Florida, has done that and then some in a very challenging period of time for that state.
You use the word reset about New Hampshire. Trump won by 19 percentage points. That doesn't look like much of a reset.
Well, sure. But Dagan, but take a look at it. Take a look at where the other candidates are. No longer is anyone saying there's a coronation in place. No longer is anyone saying that really the sort of what I call the leader lane in terms of the nomination is a done deal. And I think when it comes down to it, our party is a party is going to look to somebody with a proven track record, somebody who says, you know what, I've had the experience of making tough decisions in the heat of the moment that can solve problems, can help people, and produce results, and that's clearly Jeb's lane.
What about Mike Bloomberg?
Well, I hear a lot of rumors about Mike.
He said it. He said he's considering running.
Yeah, well, I mean, clearly, I think so. But again, I think Mike Bloomberg was a great mayor of New York City. I'm not so sure he's a viable candidate for national office.
Congressman, it seems like I agree with you as far as Jeb's national appeal and what he did down in Florida, but it seems like his absolute lowest points or his worst points are when he tries to go head up with Donald Trump. It just seems like Trump has just it easily controls those back and forth battles. Is it possible Jeb kind of goes around Donald Trump and focuses more on the issues and kind of lets Trump be Trump?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think if you saw the debate the other night in Manchester, Jeb did take on Donald Trump on the question of eminent domain, something that is a very serious issue, especially in my party and people who are concerned about private property rights. I think did a pretty good job at executing that argument against Donald Trump. And, listen, when you compare Donald Trump to Jeb Bush, there is no comparison. Donald Trump has no position on any policy. He's been all over the map, all over the board. What he's doing is saying, you know what, I'll have a plan. He came out and said, I've got a plan, I'm going to be a jobs president. Well, what are those plans? His track record has not been, there is no track record for Donald Trump in terms of creating jobs. When you look at where Jeb has been, for 8 years he was governor of Florida, and in that period of time, that state, I think 7 out of the 8 years, Florida was top in terms of the states in job production. So Jeb has so much to rely on in terms of a track record of success, policy, plans to solve problems. At the end of the day, that's what the country needs, and I think the voters are going to reflect that.
Let's move on to the Democratic side of things. Were you surprised at the level of win we saw Sanders over Hillary Clinton? What's your reaction to what happened last night on the Dem side?
I mean, clearly, she's going to have to go out and earn this nomination, and I think it was, most are saying that the margin of Sanders' victory was just unexpected. What I'm hearing, though, is the surprising aspect is that young women turned against Hillary. And certainly I think that's something she's relying on, is that younger vote and the women vote. I do think it does spell trouble. But let's not forget, the Clinton machine is out there. Our nominee, as Republicans, are going to have to take on that Clinton machine, and there's nobody better to do that than Jeb Bush and all the experience that he and his family has had in doing that.
All right, we'll leave it there. Congressman, good to see you. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Maria.
Eric Cantor joining us there.